Hello, welcome to my channel, Wing Spiritual Clarity. My name's Wendy Wing. I'm doing a psychic tarot reading for you, tuning in to the day's energies, seeing what divine messages of guidance come through. This is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave the rest. Ooh, these new cards are they're kind of sticky. All right. So the overall energy of today's reading is the Roi de Epée. Let's see. King of Swords. All right. I've been trying some new cards. This is the Tarot de Marseille. Someone a while ago suggested these cards, and I do love them. What unique imagery. If you have any suggestions for tarot cards, I am here for it in the comment section. All right. Overall energy, King of Swords. King of Swords is several things. It feels like someone who's had experience, very experienced person. And so they've seen things, they know things. And that experience has given them wisdom. And it feels like with that sword, a lot of truth. What's true and what's not true. All of the experiences. And it feels like cutting out what doesn't work. Streamlining, letting go of anything that's a burden. Instead of trying to focus on the potential and the maybe it'll change. It feels like recognizing what doesn't work and letting go of those activities, those people, those situations, and those belief systems. So you might have some belief systems that you're also letting go of, that you're needing to update your belief systems, is what I'm getting. Feels like there's some old belief systems, old stories that you've told yourself that aren't true. If you really look at them, feels like it's time to let those limiting beliefs, beliefs that don't support you, that aren't helpful, that keep you, because if you're running a belief system, you might think, well, oh, that's not going to affect really a belief system, but it's completely. So let me explain. Let me demonstrate through a story that's coming to mind. A student of mine had a very strong story about around communication, no one understanding them, no one hearing them, being left out, kind of a part of that because they're misunderstood. And this story was so loud in their space that even showing up in class, they had issues with the Zoom. They couldn't log in. They were finding it difficult to connect in. They were having audio issues with their Zoom. And so that story that was so loud in their space, that story that they've chronically told over and over again, nobody can hear me, nobody can understand, they don't care, all those kind of, that mix of the stories was making it difficult for them to show up. It was affecting how their audio-visual aspects, the computer, it was affecting how they communicated. It made it very difficult for even me to understand what they were talking about because they have this story that nobody can understand them. And so it was affecting even how they communicated. When they would talk, they were just disjointed and they couldn't remember and so that story, that belief system was actually what was affecting them. And to have change, they needed to soften that story. Not tell that story the same way. Let it soften. So this is bridging beliefs. And if you can't let go of a story because it's so loud in your space, then can you soften it and tell it a little different? Because if you lie, your energy can tell. I'm a millionaire. I'm a gazillionaire. Everybody likes me. I'm fantastic. I never have issues. That's not resonant. And so it's not about telling yourself lies and believing those. It's about finding the limiting beliefs and letting them soften, letting them change. So how you could soften, like that student who had communication issues. Nobody understands. Oh, King of Swords also on the bottom of this deck. Perfect. So I'm working on my communication. I'm figuring out how to communicate in more effective ways so people can understand me, right? So that doesn't completely create a false fantasy, but that's moving that belief systems in a direction of doing something about it, finding the solutions instead of making concretizing, making more and more solid belief systems that you do not prefer. This is a creative universe that we're in. And your belief systems, your energy flows, right? And so it's flowing through your belief systems. And so if you've got a belief system that's out of date, that's keeping you stuck, you can be empowered and let that belief system go, or change it, soften it up. And then after a while of, I'm working on my communication space. I'm learning how to communicate in ways that are more effective. I'm finding people are understanding me more and more. I'm finding that I listen to myself more and more, and I can understand what's mine and what's not mine. So you can start softening that and creating beliefs that do work for you. All right, anything else about the King of Swords? Queen of Pentacles reversed with her back turned, and High Priestess. So it feels like I'm talking to somebody who's very intuitive. High Priestess. Intuition. You get messages. She's not all love and light. She's between the shadow and the light. She understands her shadow. She understands her light. That makes her whole and complete. That makes her understand herself and understand others. When you explore your shadow, when you're willing to see things that are uncomfortable about yourself and own those parts, accept those parts, and integrate those aspects of who you are, all of who you are, then you become very powerful. It feels very powerful type of energy here. She has no roof over her head. She has unlimited potential. And she also keeps things to herself. It looks like with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, there's a instability here that you might be having. Pentacles I see as base chakra, your root chakra, which deals with your physical body and this physical reality. So it looks like I'm talking to somebody who wants to consciously change their belief systems and show themselves. Not I'll believe it when I see it, but I'll believe it so I can see it. There's a lot here around your belief systems that I'm perceiving. And so if you've got a belief system in the 3D about your physical health, about your physical body, about your finances, around stability, are those beliefs, do you like those beliefs? Are they serving you, or are they keeping you stuck somewhere that you do not prefer? Feels like you're wanting to have more stability. You're wanting to show yourself how to curate, cultivate belief systems that work for you and let go of the ones that aren't working for you, that are keeping you stuck, keeping you unstable, keeping you with a lack of resilience and capability, a lack of flexibility, a lack of adaptability. It looks like you're turning that around, or there's a potential here for you to do that. All right, let's move on to the Seven of Wands. All right, Seven of Wands is boundaries, protection. This is your hidden blessings. What does, Queen of Wands with her back turned. Okay, so it looks like you have healthy boundaries. You're very attractive, but you've got these healthy boundaries. There's something here like you're recognizing how to take care of yourself, how to nurture yourself, how to maintain. All right, what else? Two of Pentacles reverse. I feel like you are the most you've allowed yourself to be. You're very unmasked. You're not trying to hide who you are. The Queen of Wands is very confident, self-assured. It's not that she's only showing up as like a palatable version of herself. She is comfortable with her shadow. That's twice that's come up. Usually there's a black cat at her feet, which denotes that she doesn't care what other people think about her shadow. She owns all aspects, which makes her very attractive, authentic. She goes after what she desires, what she wants. And there's this authenticity that keeps coming through, cutting out what doesn't work, what belief systems don't support you, so you can become more stable. And so you can be the most authentic version of yourself, unmasked. You have really beautiful boundaries, which tells me that you care about yourself. You love yourself. Empress with her back turned. All right. That's a lot. This feels like your feminine energy is on point. Divine feminine. You've been following being yourself. That authenticity is an amazing, beautiful, clear vibration and frequency. Feels like your divine feminine has risen. So there's also something here about being creative, creating, being in your feminine energy, healing, going after that one big thing that you want in the world, being yourself, doing it. I just keep getting authenticity. There's something beautiful about your authenticity. It feels like that is a very protective layer that people who might try to juggle you, want to juggle you, can't because of your light, of showing up in this way. Wow. All right, what you're leaving behind is the King of Wands. I love these images. That's hilarious. All right. So there's a mix of this masculine and feminine energies here. So it feels like you're very balanced. King of Wands, you're leaving behind a King of Wands, leaving behind. There's something here about, I'm getting a masculine, feminine kind of energy here. This isn't about gender. This is about feminine and masculine energies. Feminine energies I see energies on a spectrum. Most nature is on a spectrum. It isn't black or white. Spectrum. So feminine energy in the most feminine form is very present. It's not doing anything other than being present. When you're focused on being present, then you care about how that energy feels right now, and you cultivate that environment. And so it invites nurturing, flow state, enjoying the present, enjoying the beauty of the moment. That's feminine energy. It is just being present. Masculine energy in the most masculine spectrum is like a laser. It's action. It's from here to there. It's change. Creating change. Very action oriented. And there's something about what you're leaving behind about being so much in your masculine energy. So much doing instead of creating, inviting. Cooperative components with the universe. So what I'm seeing is your feminine energy is rising, and you're not having to work so hard in your masculine energy. Once you learn how to create with your feminine energy and bring it into this reality, then you don't have to overcompensate with effort and work. It feels like there's a balance here between your masculine and feminine energies. What else is the viewer leaving behind? What else is the viewer leaving behind? Anything? Page of Cups. Feels like younger versions of you, more immature versions of you, you're leaving behind. Okay, you're leveling up is what I'm seeing. And evolving. I'm seeing like a butterfly changing. And so I'm not getting that there was anything wrong with past versions of you. Let's get that straight right here. This isn't about a perfect picture and trying to be perfect, trying to be some vision. But what I am seeing is that you are evolving, you're changing. And there's versions of you with limited beliefs that you're cutting out old stories that keep you with instability and insecurity, lack of abundance in the 3D. And you're also leaving behind just a less evolved version of yourself. I just don't want any self-hate for past versions of yourself, because that version of you got you to where you are now. And so don't make life more difficult for yourself by hating on yourself, by hating on any version of yourself. All right. Oh, nice. All right. So how to get the most of this energy is the Queen of Wands. Love this. All right. I love that it's a baton. All right. So how to get the most of this energy is another. So we've got Queen of Wands, King of Wands. It's a lot of court cards. Feels like you're really deciding who you want to be, who you are in this next version of your life, the next act, if you will. And again, I've already described the Queen of Wands. Very attractive because she goes after what she desires. She's very authentic. She's okay with her shadow. If you're okay with and aware of your shortfallings, where you've messed up, where you've hurt others, things that we usually hide even from ourselves behind walls of shame and splitting different defense mechanisms, so we just can't, so we don't have to see those aspects of ourselves. But by shutting away and being unable to see uncomfortable truths about ourselves, then we can be manipulated. Through our shame, through needing to be perceived in a certain way, trying to control how everyone sees you. And it's an exhausting, and it doesn't work. People are going to see you how they want to see you anyway. And so by just being yourself, owning all parts, clearing that shame and guilt is a fantastic tool. It is so uncomfortable purposefully because that guilt lets you say, it gets your attention and you're like, ooh, I'm feeling guilty because I do not like how I'm showing up. How can I change this? How I'm showing up? How can I use this guilt to inform me? And I don't like this version of me, and I want to change that. Shame is believing that you're bad. You're bad, 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 bad. You're a bad, bad boy. You're a bad girl. Like that kind of stuff, which is an indictment on you. And I don't think shame is helpful at all. And I don't believe it's true. I think we can use guilt to show us through our discomfort of guilt to change. And then if you use that guilt in that way and you change, then that energy of guilt was helpful. Shame just cuts off, like, I'm bad, I'm a horrible person. There's no curiosity, there's no room for change or evolution in shame. And I don't find shame effective. I feel like it's often a tool of control and manipulation, but not an effective tool. And so it looks like you are becoming your most authentic version. You've become your most authentic version, really stepping into your feminine energy. And it feels like going after what you desire, your highest excitement. The Queen of Wands, excitement, solar plexus chakra. And it feels like you're recognizing where your power is and where your power isn't. Your power is in taking care of yourself, going after what you desire. You get disempowered by the activity of trying to convince people how to perceive you, trying to convince people what your story is. It's just exhausting. And it doesn't work. It might work temporarily, or you might think it's working, but people are going to think about you however they want to. I think what's most important is how you think about yourself, how you feel about yourself. I used to have experiences with people, and then the next hours, maybe even days, would be going back over and deciding if I did that right, if I did that right, did I do that? Was that okay? Was it, now I just want to like myself. It's okay if I don't like people, if I don't get along, if I have difficult situations. Those things happen. But at the end of the day, do I like who I am? Do I like how I handled things? And a lot of times the answer is no. I don't like how I handled that. There's plenty of room for improvement. But owning that, recognizing that, is the only way that I know of how to change that. I can't, by hiding and trying to be perfect and trying to state my case and justify my behavior if it's out of alignment with who I really prefer to be. All right, what's supporting you is the Two of Wands. A lot of wand energy here. Okay. Choices. Reimagining yourself. It looks like you've reimagined yourself and your life, and you're getting back out there, or is there a need for you to get back out there? It feels like this feels like a threshold type of reading. You might have one foot in old version of you and one foot kind of in the new version of yourself. Old version that you're letting go of, that was more immature, maybe emotionally, that did a lot of work physically in your masculine energy, instead of being in your creative energy, instead of being yourself, going after what you desire. Very interesting. All right, so what's supporting the viewer? Whoever's here, what would be helpful? Ten of Pentacles in reverse. This is lost inheritance, lost legacy, with the Hanged Man. Okay, this feels like a story, a limiting belief, something that you've lost. With the Two of Wands, reimagining, there's some old story that didn't work out. A story where you were taken advantage of, mistreated. Feels like you thought that it was your Ten of Pentacles, but it ended up being not that. not your legacy, not your happily ever after. And it feels like you kept trying to make it work. It looks like you needed to see some new perspective before you could let it go, before you could let that old dream go and reimagine your life. Anything more about how this is supporting the viewer? Oh, I think you needed to see. You needed to see that what you wanted isn't the problem, but the environment, the people around you weren't conducive to what you want, what you wanted to create for yourself. And the new experience, it feels like you saw at the end of something clear, you got the clarity, a realization why it wasn't working. You pulled your energy, attention, focus away from that situation, person, environment, started taking action in the direction you prefer. And the way you're taking action towards what you prefer is in the Seven of Swords, which is a tactical It feels like you had to be very tactical as you left an old environment and as you've been reimagining yourself and your life and going after towards what you wanted. It feels like you didn't announce it and feel smart. But you were very, you said less, didn't explain what you were doing, what your plans were. I think there's a realization that an environment was not for you. The people in that environment, the situation was not conducive to the version of you that you were becoming. It feels like you were having this shift, changing, evolving into this version that you prefer of you, that you enjoy. And it feels like there are people who liked the old version of you because the old version of you would tolerate abuse, not give you anything. Feels like you started realizing your own value. For some of you, I get the feeling that you started matching, like you didn't get support from the people in the environment. And it looks like for some of you, you started matching their energy. And if they're not going to give you anything, their time, their attention, they're not going to work. It feels like you kind of matched their energy instead of only you giving. Feels like, and it feels like a lot of things started shifting once you started showing up as yourself, speaking truths. Doesn't feel like that went over very well and that you had to leave this environment. It feels like that's happening for you. So you can fully become who you want to be and not try to fit into some environment that doesn't want you to be you and isn't supportive of that. That feels like this environment wants you to be something for everyone else, but not for yourself. All right, what to be mindful of is the 9 of Cups. All right. Blessings. 9 of Cups for me is a card of blessings and alignment. Blessings being a side effect of alignment when you are personally aligned. When you're personally aligned with yourself, when you're in alignment, when you are most authentically yourself, you're not trying to be someone else, but you are you, and you are in alignment, then things flow naturally. Because when you vibrate at a frequency of authenticity, then everything that's for you in the universe can find you because you're shining brightly as yourself. And so when you're in alignment, the natural byproduct of alignment is that the universe and all that's for you, all that's the energies, the things that are for you can find you because you're announcing through your frequency chronically, this is where I am, I'm here, I'm receiving. With this feminine energy, it feels like you're now creating space so you can feel comfortable to be in your feminine energy and not so much in your masculine energy and surviving and doing. But when you're in your feminine energy, when you feel safe, when you're not in a constant state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, when you can find some peace, when you can find some space, then your feminine energy feels comfortable to come out. And then you can be more creative and create what you prefer in this world, cutting out what doesn't serve you and creating spaces of beauty and whatever it is that you're wanting to create in this energy. It looks like you might have in the past been taught, maybe you were raised to center others in your experience, and that by serving others, by attuning to someone else and showing up how others need you to show up to make them comfortable, them happy, it just gets you more and more out of alignment with you and who you prefer to be. So it looks like there's another message. Okay, the other message is when you want something, when there's something that you want, yearning does not get you energetically to what you want. Yearning, I want this so bad. Yearning says, I don't have that, to the universe. So there's a little bit of imagining what you want like you already have it. Not yearning, but imagining like you already have it. I already have the peace. I already have that. So it's activated in your space so that energy can be attracted more. Like attracts like. If you are constantly noticing in your environment what you don't have, what's upsetting you, what you're critical of, then you're going to get more and more and more of that. So I was raised in a very critical family. A lot of judgment, a lot of this activity of judging, of nitpicking, of seeing everything that could, I would be happy, but there's just these few things. And so I had a habit of looking at what's bothering. It could be 90 things going right, but I'm focused on the 10% and how it's bumming me out. And so it kept creating more and more things to criticize, more and more things that are uncomfortable, that have got my attention. So there's something here about you've got to vibrate, you've got to have activated in your space what you want. So if you're wanting stability, you're wanting security, you're wanting abundance, then how does that feel like? Imagine it like you already have it, like it's already there. So imagining, let's say, family. So for those of you who've had families of origin that have been very difficult, if you're wanting to create community and family, but you've never really had anything other than a toxic family system, so how do you create something out of nothing without that experience? Well, you got to start somewhere. So what needs are you wanting met? How would it feel to have community, to have support, to be a part of a community, to be at ease, to have maturity in that community so you can be yourself and that others in that community can also be themselves? How must that feel to not have to be to be comfortable with people who care about you? And so as much as you can imagine how that feels like you are experiencing it right now. So with appreciation, with heart opening, with ease and feeling at ease and comfortable, being able to support and help that community as well as receive support and help from that community when needed. How does it feel to be in a stream of blessings? So imagining is part of this. It feels very important, but not yearning. And not keeping the stories that are keeping you away from having what you say you want. If you want family and community, if you want a found family, if you want people that support you, I'm just using that as an example, then what beliefs are blocking you from that? Well, I've always been taken advantage of and hurt by the people closest to me. Well, if that's a story and you don't want that to be the story, then how can you change that belief? You know, I haven't had a community and a family that I felt safe and belonging. But I'm looking forward. The more I'm myself, the more I'm looking forward to finding others that are also wanting to be themselves. I'm really looking forward to meeting other people that are on the same trajectory and same interests as me. I'm so excited. I haven't met all the people in this world, and there's lots of people who have the same interests that I do, that are on the same vibe, the same frequency, that want the same things that I do, that want this type of connection. I'm really getting excited about meeting those people and getting the opportunity to be in the right place at the right time, and connecting with those people and being excited and enjoying getting to know new people. So see what I mean? Those are belief systems. It feels like most of you can agree, kind of tune into that. And that feels a lot better than people have always heard. That might be true. I'm not saying to, but there's another way you can say it. So it doesn't block you from being the person you prefer to be and the life you prefer to have. I hope this makes sense. All right. Anything else? I think I'm going to end the reading there. I'm going to do an extended reading on Patreon. So if this reading has resonated, I'm halfway through, and on Patreon, there's a link in the description box below. It says extended reading here. So you click on that link, it takes you right to part 2 of this reading, where I'll be looking at health, relationships, creativity, new opportunities, and career and finance. So I'll see you over there. If not, I hope this reading was helpful. It feels like this is quite a pivotal time. So, all right, take care.